The best Steam games are a varied and massive bunch. In fact, Valve's PC gaming platform can be super intimidating at first glance, given all the choices. So to make your gaming lives easier, we've brought together the very best of the best when it comes to Steam's store page. And if you're looking to go handheld, many of the games in this list are also happily Steam Deck compatible. From iconic CRPGs to engrossing adventures, indie gems, and much more besides, we've made sure this collection of the best Steam games shines a light on all the best PC games to play right now. And if you're looking for more recommendations, it's also well worth checking out our pick when it comes to the best free Steam games. For now, though, we've made sure to include a wide range of genres, so there's something for everyone on our list. Recognizing from the best Battle Royale games to popular picks like GTA 5, we've explored the platform in full. We're also keeping our ranking updated as more new games for 2025 head our way. More than anything else, it's the world of The Witcher 3 that fascinates me because it's so large, beautiful, and stuffed with history. The Witcher 3 is a lot less clunky than Skyrim, which it often gets compared to, and it shares its adult tone with some of the best high fantasy RPG franchises out there. Gruff Witcher Geralt will grow on you with each crotchety response, and the story paints a delicious, slowly unraveling mystery you will want to see through to the end. There's a reason this game tops so many best gaming lists. The term CRPG, or computer role-playing game, may have lost its meaning. However, it still describes a certain type of adventure, isometric and heavily inspired by famous pen and paper role-playing games such as Pathfinder and Dungeons & Dragons. Divinity Original Sin 2 is the best game of its kind you can play. You have the freedom to make a ton of really granular choices in regards to how to solve a quest, talk to your party members, and progress with the main story. Combat 2 can be endlessly versatile if difficult, and you will have hours upon hours of fun teasing of each of the game's secrets. Helldivers 2 is one of those games people will be talking about for ages, and for good reason. The squad-based online shooter balances the realms of comedy and action with bombastic ATS infomercial cheese to create a third-person shooter experience that's fast become one of the best Steam games ever, not to mention the most popular. The fact that friendly fire is always on means that it's all too easy to accidentally dust your teammates, of course, but that just makes the action all the more chaotic, which is kind of why we're here. The XCOM reboot revived the landscape of round-based tactics, but while its gameplay has often been copied, there is nothing quite like the original. It's one of those just one more round games where getting your squad through an encounter takes good planning and a few lucky surprises. Even though your home base grows and your soldiers become stronger over time, XCOM 2 is enjoyably tense because none of that ever means you're safe. You're simply gaining more gameplay options. The excellent XCOM 2 War of the Chosen DLC adds a lot of flair to the game thanks to its warring factions. What before was little more than just an assortment of missions about humanity surviving hostile takeover by aliens, that way even eventually got an exciting conflict. A standout among narrative games, Kentucky Route Zero, knows how to craft a wonderfully dense atmosphere with seemingly very little. Here, the way that text moves can be more expressive than fully animated characters in other games. Kentucky Route Zero inhabits a space in magical realism storytelling no other game does, and it successfully explores how we use text to describe many different forms of gameplay. This is a game that fully delivered on its intent to be a magical experience, and it has a very evocative art to boot. Be warned though, this is a pretty surreal experience, so be prepared for weird and strange occurrences. Destiny 2 is a game that keeps changing. Its latest incarnation, Beyond Light, deleted a good half of what's there to simply replace it with better things, like the fun new stasis power. This is a loot shooter that lives from, you guessed it, its excellent loot. Now that it's free, there is also no other online shooter quite like it, both in setting, feel, and sheer breadth of content. One thing is for certain, Bungie will keep trying to innovate, and Destiny 2 isn't going anywhere, just So this is a great time to start the game everyone's playing. Detective games don't get much better than Return of the Obra Dinn. Gruesome murders and other mysteries took place on a merchant ship. And it's up to you to figure out what exactly took place simply by gathering clues and coming to your own conclusions. It's fascinating how hands-off the game is too, simply asking you to pay attention to small things many other detective games regularly forget. You need a good eye and patience, but working a mystery out is immensely satisfying. Return of the Obra Dinn shows that detective mysteries can be so much more than reading text-based clues and doing random puzzles. This is the full sleuthing experience. When people talk about the freedom to play a game their way, Dishonored 2 is still the most common example. As Assassin Corvo or Emiliatano, you sneak your way through the city of Karnaca in order to learn the identity of a mysterious killer. Dishonored isn't only an achievement in stealth, it also manages to give you compelling reasons to approach situations non-violently while still making sure you end up with your back to the wall often enough that sticking to one play style isn't all too easy. Renowned for its level design, Dishonored gives you many different approaches, and to pull off a particularly daring play is a joy all of its own. Possibly the most alluring thing about this stellar Metroidvania, other than the gameplay challenge the boss encounters pose, is its sense of exploration. Hollow Knight has that feeling down pat. As a small bug knight, you explore an atmospheric underground kingdom, take on a large number of fellow bugs, and develop your skills to reach even the last nooks and crannies. Hollow Knight is an intriguing mix of difficult and relaxing, beautifully animated and mysterious enough to make you want to keep going even when the boss standing between you and the next section may make you want to tear your hair out. Learning their movesets and eventually overcoming even the toughest foe is all part of the fun, after all. First and foremost, Apex Legends is incredibly smooth to play. Everything from movement to shooting feels good, and their helpful ping system makes finding anything again quick and easy. With a hero system that's similar to Overwatch, you get rewarded for putting a lot of time into your favorite character and get to take on a new challenge simply by playing someone different. Maps feel incredibly dense too, and you need to get to know them in order to find the spots at which you can revive your allies, which is a vital cooperative tool that emphasizes you're playing with as much as against other people. We can't stress enough how good movement feels, however, because this is a top concern for any frantic battle royale, and no game has mastered it like Apex. Final Fantasy XIV is an MMO for people who don't like MMOs. This incredible comeback kid, which began its life as a series of repetitive fetch quests, has grown into an online game with one of the best stories. Best of all, you can play a large chunk of it completely free before you start paying the monthly subscription. If you do decide to play with others, you will meet a large and friendly community. Out of current Final Fantasy releases, this is simply the best one you can play. So if you like your RPGs with a large world and a bit more fantasy than futuristic technology, similar to the direction Final Fantasy XII took, this is the best option right now. Disco Elysium is a detective mystery with an RPG twist. Branching storylines stem from the decisions you make as you pick your way through the city, allowing you to either welcome the darkness as a crooked cop or become a true paragon of law and order. We don't want to give too much away here, but this is an amazing story to experience and has one of the best characters ever written in it too, Kim Kitsuragi. Disco Elysium is the perfect choice for any fan of narrative-driven or visual Cyval-style gameplay, and it's more than deserving of its spot on our list of the best Steam games out there. It's also a great title to replay, so it's worth the investment of adding it to your Steam library. Created by a single developer, Stardew Valley brought the farming sim craze back in a big way. It's easy to see why, updated and enhanced to this day, years after its initial release, Stardew is a labor of love. Day after virtual day, you work on your small farm, growing fruits and vegetables, taking care of animals, and weeding your land. But you can also unearth the secrets of the town's old mine or get to know the villagers' stories, each of them memorable enough that the whole community will grow on you. Stardew Valley understands that seeing the literal fruits of your labor is an extremely satisfying process, and it's always a joy to plan out a new farm and try something different. Doom Eternal is the embodiment of an adrenaline kick, tense, gripping, and fast. Some fights require precise timing and feel almost like something inspired by a rhythm game, and the Doom's trademark goriness makes every win feel impactful and earned. How you choose to eviscerate your foes also determines what kind of equipment you can earn. Adding a strategic layer to Doom Eternal asks you to take risks. And sometimes it's just those split-second decisions that let you be the last man standing in a room full of monsters. It's frankly thrilling stuff. GTA 5 is a game that has shaped PC gaming with its open-world design and storytelling, which is often as vapid but simultaneously enjoyable as a movie blockbuster. While the story alone makes it worth a play, as exaggerated and trippy as it can get, GTA 5's eternal charm lies in how you'll inevitably get distracted by side missions, or beautiful cars to steal, or simply seeing what's around the next bend. Everything in GTA 5, from its online multiplayer to its heists, lives from its tight, open world. An exceptionally well-designed place you simply want to get to know. Not a lot of games have offered such a good open world sense, especially not in a metropolitan setting. If pixel games and roguelites are your bag, Vampire Survivors deserves a mention. It's an oddly relaxing shoot 'em up where you move around your character to lay waste to your enemies, all of whom, oddly enough, are not actually vampires. You don't need to do much more than that, since your character will auto-attack all enemies in its path on your quest to clear each round under timed constraints. Vampire Survivors doesn't have the realistic graphics and rich open worlds of many other games on this list, but as far as the best Steam games go, its raging popularity has to count for something. Winning territory and becoming a ruler are the themes of many strategy games, but Crusader Kings 3 comes with a unique social layer that's really all about your character holding it together. Diplomacy turns into a soap opera, and you'll love exchanging stories about how both your empire and your family developed in unexpected ways. Crusader Kings 3 is a lot like life in medieval times must have been. War, intrigue, and scheming were part and parcel to the life of the nobility. And while you can be quite goofy with designing your own alternate history, this is a credit to how deep the game's simulation truly runs. There is no game like Death Stranding, and that's what makes it so enticing. Essentially, Metal Gear Solid creator Hideo Kojima went all out on a game about hiking. While there is the occasional combat sequence, Death Stranding is really more about a guy who delivers items all by himself on his back. This way, it teaches you not only that walking with a lot of equipment to carry can be as meditative as it can be treacherous, but it also tells the story of a different kind of post-apocalypse, one that isn't about zombies or marauding gangs. It's a unique game that really needs to be experienced to understand its draw. To most PC gamers, Monster Hunter World was the introduction to the Monster Hunter franchise, and what an introduction it was. In this game, you roam through a beautiful world in search for giant dinosaur-like monsters to, well, hunt. It's the loop from searching for monsters to taking them on to investing in new equipment that makes this game so irresistible. There is a strange thrill in coming across a monster, seeing it interact with its environment, and getting ready yourself for the big fight, especially when you're playing with friends. It's not all simple hack and slash either. You need to get a proper feel for your weapon, with each type handling differently, and learn the moveset of your opponent before you take it on, making things feel like a proper hunt. Metaphor, ReFantazio was one of the best RPGs of 2024, and if you are a fan of fantasy worlds and the Persona games, then this is a must-have addition to your Steam library Set in a world where the king has been assassinated and a power struggle for the throne has begun, you play as the cursed crown prince, his best friend, who must steal power away from the evil Louis Guillerburn before it's too late. As you navigate fun dungeons, complete quests, and interact with your companions, you'll unlock and level up archetypes that each grant you special skills and powers to take down your enemies. Metaphor. ReFantazio is a classic JRPG. But even if you aren't the biggest fan of turn-based combat, its amazing story and sleek art direction will have you hooked. The city building genre is one of the original pillars of PC gaming, next to CRPGs and real-time strategy, but many of its past franchises have seen better days. But then Paradox Interactive made an attempt at a city builder in the style of classics like SimCity to great success. The formula whiling away your time building a sprawling metropolis holds true. By now, there is likely no bigger game in this genre than City Skylines, and we mean big, literally. Several DLCs allow you to build even more stuff and enjoy different seasons. If you like to simply build and maintain a city without having to worry about managing people, City Skylines remains the best game in that category. One of the most beloved JRPGs of all time, Persona 4. Surprise dropped on Steam in 2020, making it the only way to play this game outside of owning it on Sony's PlayStation Vita handheld, or even earlier, the original Persona 4, on PS2. It's a great example of how much headway Japanese RPGs have made on PC, and it's a testament to JRPGs being much more than Final Fantasy. In Persona 4 Golden, supernatural elements, a philosophical look into our innermost desires meets normal high school life, and a crime thriller. All of that not only works, but Persona 4 also has characters that will grow on you, and one of the most funkiest soundtracks in all of gaming. If you're interested in Japanese RPGs, this one is near unmissable. The result of decades of experience with its acclaimed Divinity series, Baldur's Gate 3 feels a little bit impossible. The breadth, depth, and density of its world is unmatched, as is the reactivity of its story, so endlessly replayable that you could play an entire 100-hour campaign and still barely scratch the surface of all it has to offer. This is a marvel up there with the best that its D&D background has ever produced. The Shot Intro Tour, a new gold standard for Dungeons & Dragons, the RPG genre, and potentially the industry as a whole. For most genres, you have multiple games to choose from, but when it comes to spending time in the Wild West, the buck stops at Red Dead Redemption 2. This game encompasses every facet of what you thought being a cowboy would be like. Senseless mass carnage, mucking around at a saloon, enjoying the quiet of nature, and connecting to those who have it hard out in the West. On the technical front, it's beautiful. The performances are top-notch, and like with almost every one of the best open world games, you will frequently turn away on the road to your next objective simply because you happened across an interesting encounter first. Red Dead Redemption 2 feels like an adventure in best sense it can be, dramatic and quiet, moving and brutal. It's fulfilling one of the biggest gaming fantasies from our youth, next to being a knight and a ninja. The developer is known for its punishing bosses and immense fantasy worlds, but Elden Ring shows what FromSoft is capable of in its absolute prime. Exploring and fighting your way across the lands between is a treacherous expedition, even for a Souls-like. But the rewards you reap when snatching victory from the crushing jaws of defeat makes it entirely worth the challenge. Elden Ring's hype is showing no sign of down, and its slick PC performances means it's already cemented its place as one of the best Steam games out there.